Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Raven, and today we're going to do my end of year book tag and my 2026 reading goals. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so to close out, I know that I'm super late with this tag. So let's kind of go through everything. I've already spoken about most of these books at length in other videos. So I'm just going to run through them all. But just to give you a quick recap, I read 64 books. The main apps that I used in terms of tracking everything was Storygraph and Fable. I genuinely love Fable, so I'm going to use Fable again in 2026. But I learned about Pagebound, which I don't know, it kind of has a bloggy feel to it, and I'm here for it. It's a little too colorful for my taste, but I'm interested, and I'm trying that one out now. So we have Fable. I'm still using Storygraph, but it's not a primary one for me. I really, really, really wanted to like it, but yeah, that's that. But I am getting most of these stats from Storygraph. That's why I'm bringing this up. But anyway, let's jump into it. So if you see me looking down, I am referring to my reading journal, and I wrote down pretty much everything that I read and organized it in a way that makes sense to me. So starting off, the longest book that I read was City of Souls and Sinners by Kayla Edwards. Last year, I started reading the House of Devils series by Kayla Edwards, and I actually enjoy it. I think it is worth the hype. It's an dark urban fantasy romance, and I'm enjoying it. It's good so far. I'm actually on the third book now, and I'm taking my time reading it because I really want to immerse myself in these worlds. The shortest book I read was Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato. This is actually about to be a film, I think it is. I'm not sure if it's coming out on Netflix or if it's going to be a major motion picture in theaters, but I'm excited either way. This book was hilarious to me, and it was very dark, and it was the horror that I needed. It was short, sweet, to the point, bite-sized. I love it. The oldest book I read was Twilight. One of my friends gifted me the new edition of the Twilight series, and so I was like, you know what, I gotta pick it up. I read Twilight, the first book, and I mean, it was cute. I mean, and it's the oldest because it came out in 2007, I think it was 2006 or 7, and then the film didn't come out until 2008. So yeah, that has to be the oldest book on this list, or that I read in 2026. No, in 2025. In terms of my most anticipated read of 2025, it was, no shock here, Hazelthorne. I first got an arc for this book, and it was great. And so, it was my most anticipated, and it was my favorite book of the year. Next, we have the most hyped book of the year. It was Onyx Storm. I read it. I liked it, but it was not one of my favorites for February when I first read it. Then we have most overhyped book, and probably my biggest disappointment, which was Brimstone by Callie Hart. Then we have my highest rated, which I'm going to say highest rated in terms of other platforms, not just mine. And so I did the average of that. And so it was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I actually really enjoyed this book. It was one of the first horror books that I read in 2025. I thought it was a great read. There was so much commentary in it. I've actually been hearing a lot of whisperings about Grady Hendrix as an author, like a horror author that writes women in a specific way. I don't know. I've only read this one, and from what I read, I think the way that he wrote the main female character, it made sense for the story. So I don't know. I think I'd have to read another novel of his to see what that's like. The lowest rating book I had was Enigma by Runix. I really wanted to like this so bad. I love Runix. I loved Gothicana by Runix. It inspired actually my Instagram, my Bookstagram, when it was first Corvina Reads. And I mean, I genuinely love it. So I was expecting a lot from this book, and it wasn't it for me. I think it wasn't it for a lot of people, but more books will come out from Runix. And so, I don't doubt that this will be the end, essentially. Best debut, oh my gosh, Killthorn by Elizabeth Vaught. So I read Killthorn as an ARC and I absolutely devoured it. It's the best debut in terms of first novel and then also debut type of book. It was wonderful. I loved it. Then we have my favorite cover in all the books that I read, and we have Necromance by Cora Raven, which was really great. I loved that. I'm so happy I read that after I read Nocturne by Karina Halley, because that's what I was looking for in a dark romance, or like a dark fantasy romance type of thing. But Necromance was wonderful. It was great. I loved it. And I think Cora Raven, I think she's a relatively new author. I don't know, but I'm excited to read more books by Cora. The most surprising book was The Hitch by Beatrice Keane. Now, Beatrice Keane, I've heard rumblings about, and it's not that I wasn't expecting great things from this book, but I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I do. And I was given The Heir as an arc as well. And I love The Heir. It was like a really good wrap up. And I just love how the two characters became obsessed with one another. But it was a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest you read it. Almost all of these books are on Kindle Unlimited. So check it out if you have Kindle Unlimited. If not, then also check your library. Libby is an app that's frequently used in the US. So yeah. And then my most disappointing book was The Magnificence of Death, which I spoke about in my worst books of 2025. It was just, I expected way more given how hyped up it was. There was a tie between The Magnificence of Death by Rhea Rainwater and Brimstone by Callie Hart. And so I was like, you know what? I have Brimstone in one of the tiers already, so let me just choose another one. And so because they both held a very similar spot for me, I decided to go with that one. But aside from that, I had a really good reading year. I think my books were diverse in terms of genres, but I think I can be more diverse in terms of subject matter. I can be more diverse in terms of types of authors, and not just reading one or two. Like, I think I can read more. For example, queer horror. I can also read more from women of color. Like, I have Arv Kwong on my my list. I also have Taijust. I forgot their name, but I have them, like the person that wrote The Immortal. I have them on my list for 2026. I also have Granger on my list. Like, I'm trying to have more diversity in my reading as well. Yeah, like, I want to get into, like, that's like one of my 2026 reading goals is diversity, for sure. Diversity, not just in the types of books that I read, the subject matter that I read, or the genres, but it's also the authors, for sure. And then I also want to do, I want to read 65 books this year. Last year I read 64, but my reading goal was 60. And so I want to bump that up just a little bit. The year before, I had actually read about 150 books. And while I think that's amazing, that's probably the most I've ever read in a given year. Actually, that's not true. In high school, I read a lot. But yeah, I want to be a lot more intentional, and I want to use my reading journal. Like, I finished a book, I have my notes here. Like, I want to sit down and be slow about things, be way more intentional. I want to be able to have conversations. So I'm challenging myself to only read 65 books this year. And then lastly, my most important goal this year, if I'm not feeling a book, I'm going to DNF it. That's it. If I don't have people in my life that don't serve me, why am I going to have a book? I'm sure the intention can be that it'll be a wonderful book and that it'll speak to someone. But if it's not for me, then it's not for me. And so I won't feel guilt over that like I have in the past. But Yeah, I predict that 2026 is going to be a wonderful reading year. I mean, I want to also be more active on my YouTube and more active on my TikTok and Instagram in terms of the books that I'm reading, different recommendations. I want to be more intentional about the content that I put out and the people that I engage with and the community that I build. But yeah, that's really it in terms of my reading year for 2025 and then what my reading goals are for 2026. So if you've made it to the end of the video, please drop, let's say, a star. Please drop a star and let me know what was your best book of 2025. All right, let's chat in the comments or let's chat over on my Instagram or TikTok. Thank you.